Hello, this is Jaime A. Heidel, the Articulate Autistic, and I have a brand new video for you today. This is video number 26, and if you have been following me since the beginning, you know that this is supposed to be my last video. So the good news is I have a lot more ideas for videos, so there will be more videos coming. And I've also been working more with the autistic community, so I have some articles up on the Aspergian if you'd like to see it. I will put a link in the description below, and I will put a link in the description below to my Facebook page, which is the Articulate Autistic. If you're watching this on Facebook, then you already know what my page is. This video is called Why Autistic People Do That, video number 26, Unintentional Gaslighting Causes Trauma. So if you're not familiar with the term gaslighting, it is a manipulation and abusive technique that abusers use to destabilize the emotions of their victim. And they do this by saying to them, you know, you're remembering something wrong, that didn't actually happen, what's wrong with you, why are you getting so emotional? And this is purposeful. And this video is not about intentional gaslighting and abuse. This is about unintentional gaslighting. But in order to understand it, you kind of have to understand what that means. It's an abusive manipulation technique. What ends up happening a lot of times with neurotypical people and neurodivergent people is they don't experience things exactly the same. Even if they're both walking down the street and having the same exact experience, an autistic person is going to take in that experience with a different set of senses, with a different way of seeing things than the neurotypical person would. The experience is mostly the same, and it would probably, if you talked to both of them, it would come out the same or similar. But there can be a serious problem sometimes, especially when there's emotional events going on. An example would be, let's say two young women are walking down the street alone at night. One of them is neurotypical, one of them is neurodivergent. And a car pulls up out of nowhere, there are three men in it, and they start saying nasty things to the girls. And that's a very emotional, very scary feeling. For whatever reason, you know, maybe a cop drives by, the guys in the car decide to drive away and they don't bother them any further. So this is a scary incident that happened, and maybe a month or two later, the neurotypical person is talking to their neurodivergent friend and talking about the incident, and for some reason, you know, they're saying something to the effect of, well, I remember when we were walking down Main Street that night and the purple car pulled over with three guys in it, and, you know, two of them looked like this and one of them looked like that. And in having that conversation with a neurodivergent person, they may be unable to process the emotion of what you're talking about because to them the details are not accurate. So let's say that what happened was, it was a dark red car. There were two men in the car and they looked like this, they looked like that. We weren't on Main Street, we were on Elm Street. So it seems as though, and I don't fully understand this, actually I don't understand it at all, but it seems as though if a neurotypical person experiences an emotional experience, a negative event, that somehow their brains are able to take it and sometimes process it into something that's not as bad or maybe more palatable, which unfortunately to neurodivergent people, this looks like intentional lying. It looks like intentional lying, it looks like intentional gaslighting. It's like, no, we were on Main Street, no, we were on Elm Street, no, it was a purple car, no, it was a red car. And autistic people need the details. We absolutely thrive on them. We need to, things have to be accurate. Accuracy is more important to us than the emotional content of the story. So if you're retelling the story, and we were there with you, and you're getting parts of it wrong, if, you know, let's say you're telling it to someone else while we're sitting there, we will correct you and be like, no, it was a red car. No, we were over here. No, and it's not going to make sense to us. Why did we have the same exact experience and you're remembering it in a different way with so many different details being different? I don't understand that. And I guess this is something that neurotypical brains do. I can tell you that if I experience something emotional and traumatizing, there might be really like parts of it that I don't remember at all. They may just go away. That could be part of my PTSD. But to me, details are really important. So I don't know. I can't go back in time and prove, well, this was how it happened. But I can tell you that time and time and time and time again, when I was a child especially, somebody would say that an incident occurred in my presence. Like I did something, like let's say I knocked something over because I am the clumsiest person and I have poor proprioception. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. And, you know, I don't know where my body ends and other objects begin. So sometimes, I mean, I'm always smacking into something, whacking into something, stubbing my toe, stubbing my knee. You know, I've got bruises and I don't know where they came from. But let's say I knocked something over and I was really upset about it or whatever. And somebody came up to me and they were verbally abusive. And then later on, they're like, yeah, Jaime came, you know, running into the house and she had this mean look on her face and she just smashed the vase across the room. And I'm like, that's not what happened. But I was a kid. And I don't know, and I'll never know, if the neurotypical people in my life were purposefully saying that I did have full intention of doing that, or if that was their view of me, if they were viewing me as a bad child, so that just sort of popped into their heads when they saw me. They didn't see a child just walk by and accidentally knock something over, because in their minds, everything that I did was on purpose and for attention, and I was a bad kid in their eyes. So therefore, if that was already the set mindset, it's possible that that's actually what they were seeing. Which, again, that is baffling to me. I don't understand that, but I'm starting to understand that as I get older. So if I was being screamed at or yelled at or told, you know, why would you come in here and smash something? And I'm like, I walked in here and knocked it over by mistake. It was an accident. And I would try to explain myself. They'd be like, it wasn't an accident. I saw exactly what you did. You did this on purpose, blah, blah, blah. So I have PTSD from multiple experiences in my life, but I think it stems from also my childhood. And I can't tell you how many times that an incident like that has happened, where I saw things one way and swore to God that they were like this, and I would have a complete meltdown and absolutely like insist that this is the way it was, and I would die for that truth. And I was like that when I was even 8 years old. Accuracy is incredibly important to me, whether it's something I knocked over or whatever. Accuracy is so important. The details are so important. So I could not understand, and even when I was, you know, older, I couldn't understand why people would remember things differently. I think that that is not just a neurotype difference thing. I think that that can happen. I mean, there have been studies that show that when traumatic incidents happen, that people do remember things in different ways. So that's not necessarily a neurotype thing. But I know that it can seem like unintentional abuse or manipulation or gaslighting to an autistic person who remembers these specific details if the person telling the story gets those details wrong, or at least what seems wrong in our eyes. So if you're having a conversation with an autistic person and you're talking about something emotional, or you're sitting with a neurodivergent person and you're talking to somebody else about a story, something that happened to the both of you, don't be surprised if the autistic person cuts you off and tries to explain the details. I understand after years of study that this is not appropriate, because the most important thing, according to the neurotypical person, is to talk about the emotion and the experience and to make connections with other people. So I won't necessarily interrupt you unless you get it like so completely wrong that I'm like, no, it was not an alien that landed, you know, on the ground. It was a car. It was people. I will actually hold my tongue. It's hard. As you can tell, I'm like squeezing my hand just thinking about it. I will hold my tongue because I understand the neurotypical reason for doing that. But if you have a neurodivergent friend who's continually interrupting you about a story that you're telling, we're not calling you a liar. We're not trying to dismiss your emotions or your feelings. It's just that the details are so important. They're at the absolute forefront of our mind that we can't move on. And we can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't understand you through those details that are not accurate to us. So if we interrupt you while you're telling the story to somebody else, it's going to appear like we're trying to be rude or we're trying to take the floor and trying to take the attention away from you. We're really not. It's just that accuracy is life to us. And if it's not accurate, then we're lying. And most autistic people are not okay with lying. We really, it's almost painful to lie. I can tell you that it is for me. I only lie when I absolutely have to. So that is my video. It's gone over the 8-minute mark, but that's okay. Like I said, this is not going to be my last video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And come check out my articles on the Aspergian. I'm going to put a link in the description below. And as always, I'm also going to put a link to all of the previous videos. So you'll have videos 1 through 25. And thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.